Hello and welcome to the Berkcast, the How to Train a Dragon podcast. I'm your host, HC, and with me are.
Rush 2112.
And Wolf.
And today, not only episode 90 of the Berkcast, we are going back to doing something we haven't done in a while, a fan fiction reading. Boo! Is anyone excited?
Woo.
No.
Yeah, don't be excited because this is going to be a sad story, a
Oh, now
sad
I'm
one, and
excited.
this is Rush. This is Rush, people. This is going to be said. I'm in. Let's do this.
All about
Okay.
those feels.
Anyway, once again, it's a fanfic one of us wrote, and by one of us, I mean me. And this was my attempt, which, according to the reviews I got, was successful. And this was my first attempt in fanfiction to like do a dramatic fan fiction, nothing funny or action oriented or something, just plain drama, and try and make people cry, which apparently I did manage that. The question is if it's for the right reasons. We are going to find out today. So just one note, keep in mind that this is 2 years before the Berkcast, so any grammatical error you can point out. I'm sure I probably missed something, and yeah, that's pretty much it. How do you guys want to read this? In what order?
I guess it's your fanfic, so you start. Then we'll go Rush, then me, like we've normally done before.
Mhm.
Okay, so the order is me, Rush, Wolf, and Rush is pretty much handling the voice thing, I guess.
Okay.
That's
Unless it's Gobber,
Oh.
that's all your territory, Wolf.
Okay. You know something? I'm not sure Gobber has dialogue. It was so long ago I forgot.
Fair enough.
You know what? Let's read and find out. So with that said, we'll have a link to the fanfiction in the description to those who want to read along with us. It's called Goodbye Bud. You can already see where this is going. So let's do this thing. It was a long night of discussion inside the great hall on the island of Berk. When the meeting that was held started, there was still daylight. Now, little candlelight was the only thing stopping the group of people in the room from disappearing into the black darkness.
The meeting wasn't very big, containing only the chief of Berk, Horrendous Haddock III, along with his advisor known as Gobber the Belch, his mother known as Valka, and his future wife Astrid. In addition to those three people, was also a black dragon with green eyes, watching the meeting as it went along. The dragon answered for the name Toothless, and he wasn't only Hiccup's best friend, but he was also the Alpha, the king of dragons.
One will think that having your best friend be the king of dragons will be a huge advantage in life, especially when he got the title by protecting his rider. But the Alpha was actually the reason the meeting was taking place. Ever since Toothless was crowned Alpha, and as he defeated the last one before him in battle, many dragons from different lands started showing up on Berk to challenge the Black Dragon.
Well, Toothless emerged victorious against every challenger, either tiny as a terrible terror or enormous as the Red Death itself. The damage caused to Berk with each fight between the challenger and Toothless, alongside his followers, was too big. Houses were destroyed, certain people died by accident, and food and water supplies were ruined. At the beginning, it was nothing new to the Vikings of Berk, seeing how they fought dragons before. But as the fights became more and more frequent, so were the problems and consequences.
After the last challenger, which was an ice-spitting dragon known as a wildebeest, people started to complain to the young chief of Berk. "This can't go on like this, Hiccup," some said. "We have to find a solution," another one voiced his opinion to the chief. "We have to get rid of the dragons."
When Hiccup first heard that man speak his opinion, he nearly attacked him right then and there. Right there and then. The young chief was sure he would find an answer to the problem presented to him, but get rid of the dragons, his best friend included? Not a chance.
The meeting just went on, and talking, no solution was found. As much as Hiccup would hate to admit it, it seemed like the right thing to do for keeping his village safe was letting the dragons go.
Neither one of the presents brought up the idea, though, as none of them wanted to get rid of their dragons as well. Valka loved dragons a lot, and so did Astrid. While Galver didn't love the creatures as much, it was still very tied to them, especially his own.
After what seemed like a dead end, Hiccup spoke up. I think I may have made a decision.
That's
But-
Russia's line, Wolf.
Wait,
Because I guess
No,
he's
it's-
like-
being-
oh,
Like,
you want
it's a
okay?
voice.
he wants
It's
me
voice
to...
acting.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead,
I think I've made a decision.
he said, causing the three to look at him.
You can wait outside. I will come out with my solution.
The three got up and were about to head out. Gobber gave Hiccup the best nod he could have managed. Valka hugged her son, signaling him that whatever he decided, she will be proud of him. Astrid kissed Hiccup briefly before saying,
I
believe you made
the
the
right choice. He told me to do the voice acting.
"Yeah, I was debating."
Enjoy.
but- yeah.
This is what you get.
Okay, you see, people. Rush doesn't need to ship Hickstrid. He is Hickstrid.
Yes, I kiss myself when I'm alone, crying to myself to sleep at night. That's something I did not need to say or think about.
TMI.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway.
Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to get some stuff moved around. All right. After they headed out, Hiccup stayed in the Great Hall alone. The only one with him was Toothless. Like every time he wanted to be alone. Toothless was always there for Hiccup. There was never a time when he was unneeded or unwanted. Even when something horrible happened that almost ruined their friendship for good, their bond triumphed. None separated no matter what stood in their way. So why was Hiccup working on how he was going to tell his people that they were letting dragons go?
Toothless felt something was wrong with his best friend. He got closer to him, trying to show support when Hiccup quickly turned and hugged Toothless's neck, tears falling from his eyes. Toothless felt the sadness Hiccup was going through as he let out low purrs that signaled sadness.
I don't want to let you go, bud.
Hiccup cried as he hugged Toothless more and more.
How can I let the one who saved my life more than once go? How can I let my best friend go?
He asked as tears kept coming.
How can I let my best friend go?
My first, but okay. Hiccup asked again, quietly. It's times like this when he wishes his dad was still alive. He might have found that decision hard as well, but at least it wouldn't be Hiccup who gave the order.
Hiccup, remember who you are. Oh wait, wrong film.
Thank you, Rush. Thanks again for ruining something I did.
I'm sorry. It felt appropriate after all. Maybe if we had just first met and started reading this, but after all the inside jokes we've had, that just felt appropriate. Okay, you have
You're
to.
welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
You're welcome for me. All right. Toothless nudged Hiccup's face, trying to get his rider to look at him. When he managed, he gave him a look that said, "It's for the best." As much as Toothless didn't want to separate from his rider as well.
After a few seconds of silence, Hiccup nodded at Toothless, who nodded back.
Thanks for understanding, Toothless.
He told the dragon, which gave him his famous toothless grin he was named after.
Don't do that. You'll make it harder to say goodbye to you.
He giggled at the smile he learned to love years ago.
Eventually, both Chief and Alpha made it out of the Great Hall. All the attention of the village turned towards them.
Attention, everyone.
Hiccup started.
After a long time of thinking and debating, I have reached a decision as what to do with the recent dragon problem.
He said before taking a deep breath, while Toothless nudged him for support.
As hard as it might be, we will have to get the dragons off of Berk.
Mumbles started to be heard throughout the villagers as Hiccup continued.
All dragons will be commanded by Toothless to take flight tomorrow morning. You can all have the rest of the day off from your work. Spend time with your dragons and everything. I know this will be hard, but it was brought to my attention.
He looked at Toothless for a second.
that this may be for the best. It says intention. Sorry, I got
Yes,
the
it does.
subtitles, so.
Well, like I said, English wasn't 100% accurate yet.
It's still pretty good though in terms of grammar.
Yeah.
It's better than most of my grammar.
Well,
And I'm
thanks.
English as a first language. Anyway, as I choke on my own spit. There was no reaction to the announcement. Everyone just headed to spend the last few hours with the dragons as Hiccup headed towards the smithy, where dragon saddles were being made. Toothless followed him.
Hiccup knew that if Toothless was leaving tomorrow, he would need to rebuild his free tail. Toothless had a missing tail fin that prevented him from flying by himself. He lost it when Hiccup shot him down during a dragon raid around 7 years earlier, which is why Hiccup built him a new fin that he controlled. One year, Hiccup built Toothless a tail that allowed him to fly without Hiccup, but the dragon broke it because he wanted Hiccup to control his tail. This time, though, there was no excuse. He needed that tail.
Hiccup quickly got to work. Since he somewhat remembered the process from last time, the process of building the tail took less time than the first. After about an hour or two of working, the tail was done.
Here you go, bud. Hiccup showed Toothless the new tail. There are no returns this time, sadly, he said with a bittersweet smile, which caused Toothless to let out a low growl. The sadness of the situation hitting the Night Fury. Hiccup saw this and put his tail aside. But we don't have until... We don't... Restart. But we do have time until morning, so... You want to go on with just one more ride? Just you and me, Toothless, like the old days?
Toothless smiled and jumped around, obviously liking the idea Obviously liking the idea Hiccup brought up. Hiccup couldn't help but smile at his dragon as he climbed up into the saddle, put his peg leg inside the mechanism that operated the tail, and hooked all the safety wires.
Let's go, bud,
Hiccup said before Toothless leapt into the sky.
This seemed like the longest flight they ever took. They flew above the cove where they first met, they passed by the cliffs where they first practiced their flight, and they were headed towards the few tiny islands they came across during their adventures.
Eventually, Hiccup urged Toothless higher until he thought they were at good enough height. Okay, Toothless, are you ready? He asked the dragon as he was changing Toothless's tail fin into glide mode and removed his safety lines.
Hiccup jumped off of Toothless, and both Chief and Dragon free fell towards the water below. Both looked at each other during the fall, smiling at one another like always. Eventually, Hiccup opened up his gliders and glided alongside Toothless for a bit until he landed back on the dragon's back.
They just continued to fly like that for another few minutes, or even an hour. They didn't know and they didn't care. The only thing they did know was that it was about to end. The great feeling of flying and freedom, as well as the many tricks and adventures, were coming to an end once they set foot back on Berk. Hiccup didn't let it bother him though, as these flights were always stress killers, and he wasn't going to be stressed during their final flight.
Eventually, though, nothing could stop the inevitable. The next morning's sun came up, and with it, the time for the dragons to leave.
Hiccup woke up that morning to see Toothless wasn't by his bedside. He was probably waiting at the cliff near the shores of Berk. The chief quickly got up and walked out of his home. When he saw his mother wasn't inside the house, he figured she was probably out with everyone. Hiccup started to fear he might have missed the dragons. But he knew Toothless wouldn't leave without seeing him one more time. Blah.
As Hiccup, yeah, another grammar by yours
It's
truly.
fine. It's fine.
As Hiccup walked through towards his destination. This is not grammar. This is just no.
This is probably just English at that point. Yeah.
I mean, again, it's not your first language. Even people who English first language still make that mistake.
English is a bad language.
Okay, as Hiccup walked towards the destination, he saw some of his friends saying goodbye to the dragons.
He saw Gobber getting crushed under his dragon grump in a failed attempt at a hug. He saw Snotlock trying to act like he wasn't sad, but one nudge from his dragon Hookfang caused him to lurch forward and hug his dragon with a few tears falling. He also noticed the twins, Roughnut and Toughnut, saying their goodbyes to their two-headed dragon, Barf and Belch, as well as Arid and Skullcrusher, the dragon that once belonged to Hiccup's father, bidding him farewell. Hiccup then noticed Fish Legs hugging his dragon Meatlet with all of his strength, while the dragon returned the affection through licking.
How ironic is that you are reading this part of the story?
I don't know how ironic. You'll have to tell me later, because the sight of Acid and Stormfly has also caught Hiccup's eyes, which caused him a bit of sadness outside of Toothless. Stormfly was the dragon that he connected with most. Hiccup also noticed his mother passing by all the dragons she protected, wishing good things to all of them before she reached a large four-winged dragon called Cloudjumper. While Valka loved all dragons, Cloudjumper was the one she liked the most, as he was the one who proved to her that dragons were no harmful beasts, but wonderful creatures. Thank you, Cloudjumper.
I was wondering. She told
I
the
was
dragon.
waiting for it.
I was wondering. She told the dragon.
For proving everything I believed in.
The dragon proceeded to hug her in his wings, causing Hiccup to chuckle for a bit as he continued on his way.
At the edge of the said cliff, sitting in the most royal way he could laugh, was the dragon Hiccup looked for the most. As far as everyone knew, there were no other Night Furies except for Toothless, making his black shape sitting in front of the rising sun unmistakable.
He reached his beloved dragon, the new tail fin in his hands. He looked into Toothless's eyes, where he saw his own reflection, but no longer just as two similar souls, but also as a leader who protected their own followers, families, or best friend's life. They both nodded at each other before Hiccup attached the new fin into its place. With a quick flick of his tail, Toothless opened the fin, now free to fly on his own again.
Toothless turned towards Hiccup, who put his hands around the dragon's neck. Toothless purred like usual, sensing his best friend one last time. As Hiccup pulled away, Toothless started licking his face a few times, earning a small giggle from the chief.
For once, I'm glad that doesn't wash out.
Hiccup commented as Toothless made noises that sounded like laughter.
Hiccup put his hand on Toothless's nose.
Thanks for everything, Toothless. For making me believe peace was possible. For helping me find my mother, for protecting me and from any danger, and for being my first and best friend.
Toothless raised one of his paws to lightly punch Hiccup on the shoulder, as if to say, same to you. Hiccup took a deep breath as he patted the dragon's nose.
Bye, bud.
He eventually said, also roll credits.
I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
The time has come. Once Hiccup nodded at him and backed away, Toothless let out a roar that signaled all the dragons to take flight and follow him. Once every dragon was in the air, Toothless started to fly away from the island, with all the dragons following after him.
Hiccup stood where he was, at the edge of the cliff, watching all the dragons fly off into the sunrise. Shortly after, he could sense Valka's hand on his shoulder, but he didn't turn his head around to face her instead, focusing on the many flying shapes in the sky.
As all the Vikings gathered around to watch the dragons fly away, it seemed one dragon was starting to head back a bit. When it got closer, it was revealed to be Toothless, who gave Hiccup the famous toothless grin he was known for. Hiccup smiled at his friend, while feeling the tears sliding down his cheeks.
After that, Toothless flew away again, taking his place in front of the dragons as the lead. The Vikings just stood there watching until the dragons completely disappeared from my sight. Do you want me to read this whole monologue?
Yeah, this is supposed to be Hiccup's final monologue.
All right.
Enjoy.
Mm-hmm. This is Berk. Small, deserted, and has a very bad weather problem. Some people were starting to get over their parting from the
That's Wolf's line.
Okay, I see now.
The thing that still it is the monologue. That's you.
Okay, so Talik's the monologue.
Okay. Some people were starting to get over their parting from their dragons, as the tears stopped coming and were wiped away.
The legends that were told of it are grand and intense. The actual events that the legends were based on are even more so.
Hiccup finally turned his head to look at his mother, who nodded at him. On his other side came Astrid, who kissed him on deciding what was good for Berk, and not just him.
There were indeed great chiefs, and all Berkians are heroes in their own way. the rest of Hiccup's friend came from behind him to show support, as they had him to thank for the great years they had with their dragons. While I can't confirm that the legends of the stories are true, I can confirm one thing.
Hiccup turn. Oh, yeah, it's you. Sorry.
Yeah, still in my line.
Way to ruin the monologue.
Ugh.
Hiccup turned towards the sun one more time, noticing that the dragons were now completely gone and no longer visible. A small smile appeared on his face, knowing that Toothless was going to lead them well.
When I was a boy, there were...
Toothless was cutting through the high sky, all of the dragons following him as they flew through the rising sun.
dragons.
The
end.
end.
Still in my line again.
The end.
Hey, the end. The end. Everyone can say it. And yes, I know that this is not the exact line. I changed it here because the movies always end with the word dragons, so it had to be changed around.
Okay.
And with that beep, the story is done, and we should say that it was good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, there wasn't anything wrong with it, other than the grammatical mistakes all over. Jeez.
Yes,
So bad.
I know.
The one, I guess, like if we're doing the normal thing of like critiquing each other's work a little bit, the one
Yeah,
thing
sure, go ahead.
The one thing I might say is, it seems a little weird they would tell everyone, hey, all of your dragons have to leave as well, when it's really just Toothless who's the problem. So why not just make Toothless leave?
Oh,
Yeah.
Everyone else gets to
no.
keep their dragons?
Wolf, sweetie, no. You are becoming Mildew. Toothless needs to leave. Toothless needs to leave. You're become the very thing. Wait, no, you love Mildew. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Take that back.
Curmudgeonly old man likes other curmudgeonly old men. This is absolutely the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, something. In regards to this, one of the criticisms I did get for this was that the motivation for the dragons could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I will story idea. I figured out the motivation for leaving is not the main point of this. The main point is the dragons leaving, and I just knew that whatever the reason would be in the hidden world, because we pretty much know at this point that Hiccup and Toothless may part ways, not necessarily forever, but at least for a while. So I just figured out it's not the what leads to the parting, it's the parting itself. So I focused on that. I had this idea, and I just said, "Yeah, sure, let's go with this. This is the one thing that keeps me back."
Hey,
and
sometimes those random ideas you get at odd time in the morning while taking a shower or something are some of the best things to do. So
yeah. So
like
it
I
was
said,
like,
it's still good. It's still enjoyable.
Yeah, if I recall this correctly, I wasn't constantly trying to think what could the reason for the dragons even be? What could the reason? Why would they need to be off of Berk if they will be a danger? What's danger? People trying to take over the Alpha title. Let's go with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
I did like that you somehow think a Terrible Terror is going to challenge Toothless for the title of Alpha.
Well,
this is something I would like to see in actual animation.
Yeah, something they actually, to all these people who do like very short animations that are like a few seconds long, this could be something like this.
I mean, technically, the first movie's already given us this, and we know how that outcome goes.
Yeah,
but it would be fun if there's a Terrible Terror out there who's strong enough to challenge Toothless.
Well, this wasn't really supposed to be that line wasn't supposed to be taken seriously, but as authors, we need to sometimes express something in universe and creative ways. So saying no matter the size.
Story, HC, it has to be taken seriously now.
HC, there are dragons in this story. I can only suspend my disbelief so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next thing, you'll tell me that actually, I'm starting to think about this. Rash, where did you join the phone line?
I can actually check that, right? Or does it all get screwed up with a migration or anything?
Okay, I'm not asking like, do you have a specific like a year to give
It
me here?
had to have been. I think it was the same year, or maybe it was 2015.
Because something. The biggest coincidence of this reading is that you read the Fishleg saying goodbye to Meatlag, and what if like in a strange case of a chicken and an egg, you read this before, and that's what started the joke on the Berkcast.
Oh yeah. So I joined April 25th, 2016.
Oh,
When was this
okay.
posted?
So
Your fanfiction?
this was September
2017.
2014, almost 4 years ago.
So yeah, I joined 2 years after that was made. Anyway.
Man, it's been 4 years. Oh my God. Yeah, I was just about to quit. Man, it's been so long. Man.
Man.
You guys,
Man.
you guys talk about. I'm going over a midlife crisis here for a second.
Life crisis. You're in your 20s. I hope that's
I'm
not your
25.
midlife.
Yeah.
Quarter life crisis. There we
you
go.
Yeah, could be. A life crisis. It doesn't matter when. Just life crisis.
Yeah, that's the new millennial thing. Just a life crisis anywhere. Next on the Berkcast,
Yeah.
we talk about how growing up sucks. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
You know something? Seeing how we witnessed Hiccup growing up like, from 15 to 19 to 20 and possibly 21 with the graphic novels, we could probably do something with this at one
HC,
point.
we are still recording technically, so let's not talk about our ideas.
Well, how many times did we did this? How many times did we actually teased future episode while recording? It's not new for us.
Too many, and I find it unprofessional but amusing.
Well, it didn't happen.
I mean, that's the show to a T.
Unprofessional but amusing. That's our sub. The Berkcast.
Unprofessional, yes. Like unprofessional, yes. Amusing depends on the
debatable.
Yeah, depends. Actually, you know something? Before, if you still have a time, what do you think about the cover art I made for this thing?
Oh yeah, hold on. I need to go see that link again. Well, that's at least on topic. You always need to click it to make it bigger. Wow, way to go.
Yeah. As you can see,
right.
Yeah, as you can see, PowerPoint skills at their finest.
Better than mine, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not I can't Photoshop like at all. Don't even try it.
We know.
Photoshop. So I went with what I got, and I still think it turned out fine for what it is.
I mean, it works for a title for fan fiction, right? It doesn't have to be anything major. It works for like a cover image and all that.
Yeah, and I didn't know back then I could actually ask/beg for them to do something. So
in the future, right? Don't use two different fonts, 2 different sizes, and 2 different colors for said fonts as well.
Well, it was supposed to aim like to the people listen. The link, you can check it out for yourself. But it was supposed to be like the movie logo that the How to Train Your is gray, and then the dragon is red and bigger. It was supposed to simulate that.
The thing about the movie though is it's all on a black background when it introduces that title, so they kind of get away with it.
Well, it's not on a black title when they do it on the posters.
Fair. But
I win.
Where it's located at is mostly all one solid color. Where yours is located at is not all one solid color.
Okay, point made.
By the way, HC, we can also just say that was 2014. At least the Berkcast image you made is all one font.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one, I'm sure about the actual first one we had.
requires research, something that I don't like doing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, actually, just if we are on the subject of if, like how we think How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is going to end. Now, going back to reading this after the trailer came out, um, in a sense, when Hiccup announces the okay, you have a few have have the rest of the day off to be with your dragon or something. I was suddenly reminded of the moment from the trailer where he says, "We have to disappear. We have to fight for their freedom." Like it's not the exact same words, but something about it does remind me of that. So I kind of got one thing right, not 100% right, but right, sort of.
I feel like you're reaching.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's one thing to say like I got one thing right to as what you used at the very end. You said it yourself. I didn't get the quote exactly right. Well, that's because it's from the books. It's an idea from the books that the dragons left. So it's not like, oh, I got it right. Well, no, the book said it, and Dean explicitly said, I want to make it end the same way that the books do. So
Since then, though, he's kind of gone back on that somewhat too, in
he
terms of
has.
saying, well, it doesn't have to end exactly the same way as the books do. And it's like, make up your mind, Dean. What do you
Well,
want?
Good old man.
like if we're on the subject, you could make the argument that that was the original plan, but then when the rewrite happened, it was
Oh,
just
sure.
well, it doesn't necessarily have to end exactly like the books.
Hmm. And I mean, that's what I was getting at too. Like, right, like the rewrite definitely could have changed that idea and that design and everything.
Mhm. Yeah, I can. Some was the first big fan fiction I wrote where when I was like, I can just imagine the people behind the movie sitting down reading this and having like a ball saying, "Oh my God, this guy got it so wrong. Like we are not going in that direction even. This is going to be something completely different." And considering the fact that I gave up fan fiction reading because it wasn't only because I started college and I had no time for this. It was also because these thoughts got way too real, and I was starting to be afraid of it. That these people might actually read this kind of stuff.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Even though not sure if like at least for Disney, I know it's true that the directors can't necessarily read fan fictions of their own work. I'm not entirely sure where I heard about this, but it's somewhere. I'm
I'm
not sure.
sure Disney enforces that and they actively can't stop them from, and they actively stop them from doing that when they obviously probably still do it.
I mean, yeah, and it's mostly for a case of just like a copyright infringement because if that fan fiction post can be like if somebody actually feels
Someone can
obliged
obviously
to
prove
prove,
that.
yeah, there is proof that this explicit idea was. I guess it wouldn't be copyright infringement because you didn't copyright your work, but it would be more of a case of hey, they stole my idea. You can make a case for that, and well, it probably wouldn't. It's honestly stupid because it would be a lucrative cost to make that argument, and the payout would be probably minimal at best, especially if you're going against a huge company like Disney.
I mean,
But
dude,
that's
you
not
want
to
to
say,
fight the world rush because that's what you're fighting. Disney owns the world. Remember this.
Yeah, basically.
except for like the one freaking movie that we're talking about, our whole podcast is centered around.
It's gonna happen eventually, Rush. Disney will own DreamWorks.
But until then, I want to be. I want to be hopeful.
Yeah.
I am the resistance.
But see, now you're fighting against all of those, brave, tangled Rise of the Dragons fans, and you don't want that.
Actually, imagine if Disney buys DreamWorks at one point and this thing actually comes to life.
Well, they have to buy Comcast, which would absolutely never happen, at least in American government courts.
Yeah.
Sure, it could. They
You
don't need to
know,
buy Comcast. They just need to buy DreamWorks from Comcast.
you know something. We're living in a world where, like, we, for the third time of saying the same sentence, we're living in a world. Spider-Man is part of the MCU, um, and Disney bought Fox, one of the biggest studios out there,
It
pretty
still
much.
hasn't gone through court yet. I'm always one for
I actually,
monopolistic policies.
I actually hope it did.
There are several reasons why I could argue that's wrong, but that's not the podcast focus. I need to
Yeah,
give Wolf a little info on why Comcast would never give up DreamWorks after 2.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I know what you're probably getting at, but I mean, there, many things, right, could change that.
That's true.
Well, you know something that's probably a tough episode. What will happen if Disney buys How to Train Your Dragon? But that's for another day. Anything else to say on this fan fiction of mine?
That's
Or
what
Before we
majorly off topic.
before we just
actually, you know something?
completely
Let
swing
me
the
ask you
pooch
this.
Oh god.
Let me ask you this. Out of we read 3 of my fan fictions on this podcast, which probably means we need to do something else. But out of those 3, which one was your favorite? I'm just curious.
I wasn't around for the first one, so I've only got 2 to judge
That one was a
from.
treat. I'll tell you that.
From what I've heard, yeah, it seems so. So from the 2 I do have to go off of, I would say personally I enjoyed the second one that we read more.
The one with Valka.
Yeah, of her past.
Okay. Gosh.
I liked the first one just because of all the what.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the funniest.
I know. Yeah, that's. I also got to do a lot of voices on that one, so that was fun.
And you know something? You did most of the voices there, but when it came to one specific voice, you still couldn't take that one away. So I have that one proud achievement. That
I don't know if you should be proud of that.
Yeah, no, I'm more than willing to give you that voice.
Yeah, you want that specific character. He went through hell at one point. So might as well let AC take the fire because yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, anything else on this? So because I think we can kind of close discussion. Okay, so that was all for this episode. We hope you enjoyed. Did you enjoy my fan fiction? What did you think about it? And do you want to comment on my terrible grammar 4 years? If you want to do all of this, you can do it on the comment section below. You can also do this on Tumblr, where we are known as Berkcast Team, on Twitter, where we are known as Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, and you can find all of us on the How to Train a Dragon Valhalla Discord server. So until next time, I was AC.
I was Rush.
And I've been Wolf.
And we will talk to you all next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.